Recording. So good evening and welcome. Thanks very much for coming and watching this evening. Our fifth, I think now, Zoom session for parents, and we thought it was really important to have one for the Year 11 students because so much has happened. So just a quick introduction. My name is Claire Adams and I'm Deputy Head at Ringwood School and overseeing the sort of technical side and the support of the sixth form with Andy as well. I've got Vicky here, so I'll just ask her to introduce herself.
Yes, Vicky Lewis, Head of Year 11 for the last few months.
Thanks very much, Vicky, and a friendly face for many students I know who'll be really pleased to see you today, Vicky. My colleague also, Rachel Heaver-Webb.
Good evening, Year 11 and parents. I'm in charge of examinations, so I'm here to talk to you tonight about that.
Thanks, Rachel, and we'll look forward to hearing from you later on. And Andy.
Good evening. Andy Warburton, Director of Sixth Form. I've been in contact with many of you over the last few days and look forward to talking to you later on.
And finally, a face that not many parents will recognise, but some of the students will, and that's Rachel Lucas. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, Rachel.
Sure. Hi, I'm Rachel Lucas. I'm the Careers Advisor from a company called Ansbury Guidance. I've been going into Ringwood School once a week on a Thursday, so I would have met some of the Year 11 students already.
So that's our team who are here to speak to you this evening, and we're going to kick off with Rachel, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the centre assessed grades. Rachel.
Okay, good evening again. I'm really going to say three things this evening, and obviously if you do have any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll respond as soon as we can to those. The first one, and obviously probably the one that's on your mind the most at the moment, is about the grades for the summer's exams, as were your GCSEs, your A-level, your GCSEs, your vocational and technical qualifications. You all have seen some letters from me, or probably have read a lot about this in the press. But just to reassure you, first of all, about the process that we're all working through at school at the moment, to assign your sons and your daughters, to assign you Year 11 centre assessment grades for each of the courses that you have been studying over the last year and 3/4. And us giving you those centre assessment grades, as you might well know, is really the first part of the process, and we then send those grades off to the exam boards and hand that information across to them, and they then do some statistical moderation and look at various data, yet to be completely confirmed how that's going to look. And in the end, for August, and I'll come to that in a minute, provide you with your grade, which will look exactly the same as in any other year. I just wanted to reassure you, first of all, about that process of the centre assessment grades that we are going through. You will, I'm sure, want to know that it's a very rigorous process, a very careful process, that we are looking at, as your teachers, a wide range of evidence from all sorts of things that you have done. It's not at all the case that we were just looking at the mock exams from December, or just looking at the mocks that you did in English, Maths and Science before you left under such odd circumstances as well, and we're fully aware of that. But really taking into account that real range of work that you've done over the year and a half, and that teachers are working together to assign those grades. They are called centre assessment grades for a reason, because no one teacher is responsible for giving you that grade on their own. We discuss it, we think about it, we look at everything. And so we're just part of the way through that process. But I wanted to reassure you that it is fair and consistent and very, very careful. And we're spending, as you would want, hours and hours of time getting that right for you all. Okay, so that's the first thing, the centre assessment grades. The second thing I just wanted to mention is what that will lead to in August, your results days, which, however odd the current time is, those results days, as far as we know, social distancing allowing, will look exactly the same as previous results days have and as future results days will. So the government has stuck to the previously published date. So your results day will be on Thursday, the 20th of August. And the school will be open from 9 o'clock for you to come in and collect your results. And as I said earlier, they will look exactly the same as they would have done had we not had this coronavirus pandemic. If you are pleased with your result, just as in previous years, then that's brilliant and you then progress on. If, however, you would like the chance to see whether or not under exam conditions you could better your results, again, just like previous years, you will have the chance to take an exam in the autumn. Now, that's not just like previous years. That's obviously a facility that the government are putting into place because they are aware of the fact that you don't have that opportunity to actually sit an exam this summer. So there will be an autumn exam series. Now, we are still waiting to receive details about that from the exam board regulator about, first of all, when it will be exactly. At the moment, the phrase early autumn is being used, but we have no dates at all yet. And also exactly what it will look like with regard to what exams are on offer and how that will work exactly. And as soon as we hear that information, we will obviously let you know so that you can start just to be aware of what the autumn exam series will look like. You will also, it seems likely, have the opportunity to resit in a year's time in the summer 2021 exam series, if the autumn exam series is not something you decide to do at the time. But I would just like to say, it might feel now, as it often does, that you definitely wouldn't want to resit and wouldn't want to go through an exam series, but you don't definitely know that until you've got your results. And of course, if you don't get a grade 4 in English and maths, just like previous years, then you would need to resit those or to sit them in autumn, just like you would have done before. You would have sat them in November, possibly again in the summer, but all providers, all employers will be looking for those grade 4s as they normally would have done. So please just be aware of that. If you do have a grade 3 for English literature or language, it can be either of those, remember, that you can get your grade 4 in, or maths. Likewise, you may decide that you want the chance to sit an exam in another subject. So however hard it may be at the moment, please just keep your work. That's the first thing. Keep your books, keep your folders, keep whatever you've got. Nothing's being thrown away at school. So anything that you left at school when we left in such a rush will still be there when you need it. But do keep whatever you've got at home. Finally, on results days and resits, we are still waiting for confirmation from the exams regulator, but it is looking likely that the best results will be allowed to count. That's what the exam board's regulator is proposing, and I can't imagine any schools, suggesting that that would be not the fairest thing. So it's looking likely that if you were to sit an exam in autumn, or indeed next summer, that your best results would be allowed to count, and also that the exam boards would work to produce certificates that meant that whatever your best results were, if you sat some exams in autumn and some of your best results were from this summer, that your certificates would reflect that mix and match of the best results. So you wouldn't have to have certificates that had some of your, what might become your older results. You would be able to show that the absolute best that you've done if you do decide to sit any exam in autumn. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now, but as Claire said at the beginning, we will respond to any questions that you've got as soon as possible during the evening and afterwards. Thank you very much.
That's great, Rachel. Thanks very much. And just to confirm that we are hopeful that Ofqual will announce that the best grade will count if a resit is done, not the centre assessed grade, but we're just waiting on the result of that. That's a question that's come in from somebody there about that. So we're hopeful that it will be the best grade. And like Rachel says, it would be unsupported by schools, really, that would be the case. I think I'm right, Rachel, in saying, aren't I?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And I'm going to pass over now to Andy to speak to us about our sixth form.
Good evening again. So like Mrs. Heaver-Webb, you've had letters from myself over the last couple of weeks, and I hope you're all well. The students that have applied to Ringwood sixth form should have had their formal offer letter, and hopefully that's added some reassurance of the courses that you've applied for and the next steps moving forward. So if there's any, if you've applied or you think you've applied and you haven't got a letter, then please do get in touch through our contact me directly or our email address, sixthform.admin@ringwood.hants.sch.uk, and we'll resolve any of those issues as quickly as we can. I know there's one or two of you out there are still very much uncertain about your plans and really unsettled by what's going on. So when you have a look at that letter, you're more than welcome to keep your offers open and continue to talk with us as you plan and think about those next stages. And we'll also be there on results day. And as the communication's already said, those results won't disadvantage you, whatever happens. And we want to be there to make sure you progress on to that very, very next step. So tomorrow evening, we are hosting a sixth form Q&A for those students who have already applied to sixth form or potentially thinking about an application to find more information about sixth form life at Ringwood. And you may well have seen in the press just the last day or so how Bournemouth and Poole College are no longer able to offer A-levels next year. So that may well affect one or two of you who are looking for an alternative. So again, that information and the register for that tomorrow is the same email address, which is sixthform.admin@ringwood.hants.sch.uk. One of the key things we're also really wanting for the students is to keep working, and as Ms. Eva Webb said, about keeping all those materials going, because you never quite know what you need. And for next year, and we've issued some transition work and spoken about transition work, and that formally begins for those subjects on the 11th of May, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow evening. But if you have applied for sixth form, then that transition work will start next week. Thank you, Ms. Adams.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks very much, Andy. And we look forward to seeing any of you who've applied to our sixth form tomorrow for our Q&A session. And of course, anybody who's interested in still applying, like Andy says, we're still open. So I'm just going to pass over to Rachel Lucas from Ansbury, who's going to give us the latest update on all careers options from around the locality. Thanks, Rachel.
Hello there, everybody. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody's aware of the recent news from Bournemouth and Poole College. I don't know how many students off the top of my head actually have applied for A-levels there, but they've actually closed their sixth form. So it's really important that if anybody has applied for A-levels at the college, to think of a plan B. I mean, obviously you've got the sixth form at Ringwood School, and there are various other sixth forms in the local area, as well as the vocational courses that are on offer at the college as well. As far as apprenticeships go, I know it's a bit uncertain with these at the moment, and I know that many of them have been cancelled or postponed for now, which obviously is quite devastating for some people. The only thing I would say to that is to again think about a backup plan. Any of you that would have met with me for a careers appointment in the school, I would have encouraged you to apply for a backup plan anyway. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments on the chat there. To apply for a college course perhaps. For example, if you've got an apprenticeship in a garage for motor vehicle and that's been cancelled, think about the motor vehicle course at the college. And of course, you know, there are various other options as well. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody on the phone or via email if you feel more comfortable doing that. I'm sure the school has got my details and they can pass my contact details on to anybody that wants to get in touch. The other thing that I was going to say as well is if anybody finds themselves at a loose end during lockdown, we have actually put on the Ansbury website loads and loads of ideas about different activities that you can get involved with. And these are things from doing online courses to learning a language, loads and loads of different ideas. And again, I can provide the link for that for the website for anybody that's interested, you know, because I know that it's difficult at the moment and people are finding that their routine is a little bit all over the place. So, you know, if it helps get a bit of structure, then, you know, just to look at a few different ideas for activities that can be done to help stop the boredom, if anything. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, all the colleges that year 11s have applied for. Anybody that hasn't applied yet, I would encourage you to get an application in, and obviously this goes for the sixth forms as well. Everybody is still taking applications, so please submit those as soon as possible. Again, if you are unsure about which one to go for, please contact me and I can talk you through it. Applying online is probably the easiest, although I know some colleges are taking phone applications, although that may take longer because obviously there's a lot of questions that they would have to go through. So online is probably the best. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, Rachel, that's great. Thank you very much, and really appreciate your input this evening. And we can signpost to your service because you're doing phone conversations at the moment. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you will offer that for all of our students, and that can go through our system as well. So I'll post the email address on the chat in a moment for that as well. So thank you, Rachel, and thanks for your time this evening.
No problem.
So just handing over to Vicky Lewis now, also to just give a little bit of an inspirational update for our students, I trust.
No pressure then. It's really important, isn't it, to remember that we are still a community and we are still a year group. And I know a lot of us, myself included, feel a bit lost right now, but it is really important to hold on to all the things that kept us going. I was just going to sort of talk through a few sort of practical things to start with, just to sort of keep the ball rolling. Hoodies, that was one that came up. Thank you to everyone who has given their consent to have their name on the back of a hoodie. We can't issue those without that. So the next exciting stage, Mrs. Bowles will be sending out the email asking you which colour and which size. So that's a nice memento. That's still happening. That will be coming soon. The next thing was the Leavers book. Again, we did need consent from everybody for their image to be published in the Leavers book. And as you know, lockdown happened before we got all the consent in. So because of data protection, we can't issue any sort of Leavers book without permission. So what we're going to do is Mr. Bowles is going to send out another email asking for your consent for that. And if I get enough returns, then that will tell me that's something viable and that I will endeavour to do, because I know it's a really important memento and something to really mark your time with us. So it's not lost. It's potentially under construction. I can't send you any photos personally, sadly, though, because of data protection. We just can't release any mementos. So if you've got any of your own, that's great, but the school just can't do that. So fingers crossed we can get them all into a Leavers book, and then you'll have that to take away with you. Prom, we're not going to be able to do the prom, sadly, on June the 19th, because obviously mass gatherings are just not where we're at, and I'm gutted, and I know you're gutted. I refuse to say we're cancelling it. I'm determined to say that we are going to postpone it, because I know how important it is, and I love a good night out. So we are definitely going to look at when that can happen. Obviously everybody is waiting for Boris's next steps in terms of how the lockdown is going to be released. So as soon as we're a little bit further along, we'll know when to look at potentially rescheduling the event, but I think it'd be silly to do it now, because we'll probably just be being disappointed again. So hang up your glad rags for June the 19th, but definitely we will endeavour to make that happen. I know that it's really difficult if you've got other siblings, younger siblings in the house, because they will be being very, very busy with all their schoolwork, and I know that a lot of people are feeling a little bit lost at the minute. And it's really important, as I've heard everybody say tonight, for you guys to be keeping busy. for so many reasons, to keep your brain active, to have something to do, to avoid falling out with people, to just sort of keep going. So I sent you that personal development PowerPoint. Please take a look. There are a million courses there. Open University, Future Learn, you know, Unifrog, all the fantastic websites we looked at. Make sure that you are, you know, investing in yourself now, because as we've said to you, I promise you, you'll sit in an interview at some point where someone says, so then tell me what you did during lockdown to keep busy or to further your learning. And if your answer is, oh, I didn't really do anything, then, you know, that is a real big shame. So invest in yourself, keep busy. Thank you to everyone who responded to my email last Friday to get in touch with someone. That's really important too. Make sure you're out there on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock, clapping for the key workers. Just anything you can do to keep your community spirit going, to look out for each other, is just really important. It's what you've always done for the 5 years that I've been lucky enough to be your head of year. You have always pulled together, and now isn't any different. So it's okay to be a bit lost. I'm a bit lost, a bit disappointed, a bit cheated, a bit cross. You be all of those things, talk about being those things, but then it's also use the wealth of experience and help that's here. Your tutors and I miss you so much. Please just keep in touch. I'm loving the fact that some of you are doing, you know, pushing yourselves out your comfort zones. There's kindness going on. There's people are baking, people are mowing neighbours' lawns, doing shopping. You know, you're doing all sorts, and that's lovely. So please keep telling us that that's what you're doing. Lockdown's a really different experience, isn't it, for everybody? And some of you, I think, you know, taking it in your stride, and for others, I think it's quite tough. And so please look out for each other, for yourselves. Do what you can now to make sure that you're September ready, whatever September ready means. It's okay if you've had a bad day, certainly we all have, and just, you know, just really make sure that you remember how important you are, that none of this was in vain. I read a lovely article yesterday about how this person felt really you know, was reflecting and looking back and thinking of all the experiences that the school gave her, and the friendships, and, you know, none of that can be taken away just because we lost the end. So, you know, take some time, look back, reflect, and please keep in touch with each other, because believe it or not, our hashtag was "This is my year," and it might not quite have panned out how we wanted it to, but it is still our year. So please, let's make the most of it. And it's so lovely to see so many of you here tonight. So thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. It's really appreciated you taking your time to come and speak as well. I know the students will really appreciate seeing you, a friendly and familiar face. I'm aware that the rest of us are a little bit outside of the Year 11 day-to-day connection. So having you there is the fabric that holds us all together. So thanks for that. I just wanted to finish up this evening really by just sharing with you a few things online in relation to where you can find some work that you could be doing. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm just going to show you. So on the school website, you can, underneath the academic section, go to the student remote learning pages, and Andy has been kindly populating under the Year 11 section lots of information that you can use, going back to what both Rachel Lucas has said and Mrs. Lewis has said about what have you done during lockdown makes you stand out from others. And you'll see here that there are lots of things that you can be getting involved with. The Unifrog information is there. This MOOCs, which is open access courses, all different subjects you can do. Anything you can imagine will be there. And that will just keep you ticking over. There's also some sixth form super curricular information, so you can be pushing yourself beyond. And for those of you who have put applications in or are looking to put applications in, we'll start to send you the subject specific work to get you going, just to start you ticking over again, because September will be tough. but it'll be even harder if you haven't actually done anything since we shut. So keeping that grey matter going, keeping interested, keeping a little bit of focus on your schoolwork will be really important for you, okay? The other thing to show you is that this little icon on the school website. Mrs. Lewis had said to me about students wanting to know how they can get their files from the network, because of course, again, with it shutting quickly, you weren't able to access anything. So this home access portal, HAP, if you go to this, it will ask you to log in as if you were logging onto the school network. So these are my credentials. I can just log in there, and it will just take you to a place where you can see your files, see your emails. This is the one that you'll be most interested in, and you can actually download your files from there. So you can download them to your own PC, okay? So if you need to get hold of files or you want to get files, then please do feel free to do that. That's absolutely available for you to do, no problems at all. So also on our school website, it's a really great place to start, is if you go to the new learning zone, if you haven't yet found Microsoft Teams, and I'm sure many of you have, as I know your tutors have been making contact with you via it, this will take you to the new learning zone landing page. And the 9 dots or waffle in the top left-hand corner is the app launcher, where you can find Teams. Now, if you've got a smartphone or a tablet, you can go to your app store and you can download Teams, absolutely no problem at all. It's possibly easier to have it on those devices because the notifications will just push through for you, so that you can see when your tutor's posted something or Mrs. Lewis has added something for you to have a look at. So having that readily available to you might be of use. But when you load up your Teams, you'll find all of your classes populated here, and one of them will be your tutor group, and one of them will be for your full year group, okay? So keep an eye on that if you haven't already been there, because those will give you information. They'll be able to, some of you might be accessing video calls from your tutor and tutor group, and likewise information from Mrs. Lewis can be found there as well. Finally, I just want to show you our information section, and we do have our safeguarding and our emotional well-being pages, and I think it's really important to remember that lockdown is hard for all of us, and those pages are really going to provide a lot of support for some families, because knowing where to go if you need help is very important. And likewise, it might not be you, it might be a family that you know, and it goes back to what Mrs. Lewis was saying about us being a community. And actually we have to look out for each other. We'll look out for your careers and your next steps, and we'll help you with the academics and getting through this difficult time academically, but we all also need to look out for each other. So the wellbeing page has got some useful telephone number and contacts on there. So please do, if you know families who perhaps haven't been able to join tonight, signpost those pages to them. If you realise that there's a family who's really struggling, then our safeguarding@ringwood.hants.sch.uk email address is manned 24/7. So please do feel free to email us, and we can signpost families in the right direction as well. But it is really about just keeping everybody informed. This video of tonight will go onto our Facebook page tomorrow. So again, if you think that there was somebody that hasn't joined tonight, 135 of you here, so there are a few not here, then please do just direct other friends and families to the link so that they can catch up on the information. I hope you found it useful to hear what we've had to say this evening. So just again, an opportunity to say thank you very much for your time this evening. We do appreciate you all taking your evening to listen to what we've got to say. Your kind words that are coming through the chat is much appreciated. We're doing a lot of this in isolation. We're doing what we think is right, with very little feedback coming the other way at the moment. So actually to have this opportunity to have these Zoom sessions means that we do hear from you, and that we're heartened to know we're on the right lines. And any of your comments that we put there that we haven't responded to, we will put into our FAQ document and hopefully get the answer to those for you. So thank you again, and please stay safe, and we look forward to being able to provide you with more updates. But you know where we are if you need anything from us, and if you're not sure where to direct your query, then please use schoolclosure@ringwood.hants.sch.uk, and that information will be directed accordingly. So thank you very much for your time this evening, and we wish you a happy evening.